and so, well, it's alright. Alrighty, so here goes. I guess it would help you guys understand this story a little better if I gave you some background about my life. So here's some quick facts. I grew up in the rural part of Racine, Wisconsin, where I went to a small non-denominational church of about 100 people. Pretty much since the time I was born, I attended Sunday morning and Wednesday night church with my twin brother, older sister, and mom, while my non-believing dad stayed at home. I faithfully believed in Christ Jesus as a young child and grew in my faith as a teenager. I was fortunate enough to attend a private Christian high school in Kenosha, where I learned biblical fundamentals and apologetics, in addition to the large load of honors and AP classes that I was taking. That's right, I'm kind of a nerd, which is why I chose to study chemical engineering. That decision took me over to the beautiful city of Flint, Michigan, to a small college called Kettering University, which is where I'd say the bulk of my story begins. A little introduction to Kettering University, formerly General Motors Institute, is that it's a small engineering college consisting of about 2,000 students. Most of them are mechanical engineers. I was the odd man out, I was a chemical engineer. Every student that attends the university is required to be employed in a co-op for half the year. So I worked from July through September and January through March each year, and I took classes in Flint for the other half of the year. Fortunately, I was employed right out of high school with Rust-Oleum as a lab technician in their spray paint group. Almost 2 years went by moving between Flint for school and Racine for work, and over that time I slowly began falling away from my faith as I prioritized schoolwork first, fraternity life and drinking excessively second, and God kind of in bed last. Sure, I still believed in Christ during that time, but I wasn't actively living out my faith. In January of 2018, I decided that my job with Rust-Oleum was no longer fulfilling to me, since I was supposed to be applying my knowledge of chemistry, math, and engineering, something that Rust-Oleum could never offer me as a lab technician. I put in my notice at the end of the month, and I began the search for the next co-op. 9 months passed submitting resumes and looking for jobs with the help of university staff, but by September of 2018, I had 0 interviews, and my junior year was almost starting. Without a co-op, I wasn't going to meet the requirement to graduate on time, which was wearing me down, on top of the fact that I hated moving every 3 months and being 6 hours away from home half the year. Maybe it wasn't the fact that I was away from home, but that my life was always changing. Regardless, I was extremely upset with God because I was unhappy with the way my life was going, and I couldn't find a job despite being a good student. I yelled at God because I didn't understand why this was happening to me. Around that same time, a close friend of mine suggested that I should transfer to a different college in Wisconsin if I was so unhappy. So I looked into it. I knew that Madison was an option since they had a good chemical engineering program. But I was apprehensive about it because it was so large. So I looked into colleges closer to my hometown. The first college that popped up in my search was, you guessed it, Stevens Point, which was weird because UWSP never appeared in my college searches as a high schooler. I began the transfer process, but not without some difficulty. Questions popped up like, will my credits transfer? Can I get in-state tuition? Where will I live on campus? And how do I know if this is the right decision? Thankfully, in the summer of 2018, I had reconnected with a church in Racine, and then a church in Flint when I moved back. I began going to Kettering's crew on Friday nights and Bible study on Wednesdays. As I connected more with God, I began praying about my decision to transfer, and that the answer would be clear to me as to what to do. I think in those 3 months that I considered this, I prayed every day about it, and slowly but surely I got an answer. The first barrier was whether my credits would transfer. I was worried about this because the rumor at Kettering was, once you start here, you're stuck. Since our courses were only 11 weeks long, we didn't think most colleges would accept them. Thankfully, that was easily resolved, but a new problem surfaced. I was likely going to pay out-of-state tuition since I hadn't lived in Wisconsin since 2016, and my parents didn't live in the state anymore. But God worked that out too, and I was classified a resident of Wisconsin. The last major step to the process was determining whether I was making the right decision that God wanted for me. And it looks like staying or transferring were both okay. I had an interview lined up for November with a company in Milwaukee that was actually focused on engineering. So I wasn't sure what to do. It felt like God wasn't really guiding me either way. But after nearly a year of searching for a co-op, I was turned down for the job in Milwaukee. At that point, I was pretty sure the decision was clear, so in January of 2019, I started here at BWSP. I took this move as an opportunity to adjust my priorities in life, and God blessed me with more time in my schedule to focus on what's important. I got connected with Cru through Man Month and Bible study in Baldwin Hall, and I found a church to call home. I can say over the last 9 months that I've lived in Stevens Point that I genuinely enjoy my life here and the friends that God has blessed me with. In the 9 months that I failed time and time again looking for a job, I questioned why God would choose to hold me back, but now I see the reason. Romans 8:28 says, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose." I had the awesome opportunity to watch God literally open and close doors in my life to lead me here, and I'm so thankful for it. Being rooted in a church that strengthens my faith and being involved with Cru has helped me to realize how important God is in my life. He's placed amazing people around me like my discipler Ian and other Cru staff members. I have the great opportunity to lead the Neal Hall Bible Study, which I never imagined I would do, and I was baptized in late August as a public profession of my faith. I'm excited to see what this next year brings for me, and I look forward to growing even more in my walk with Christ. If anything I said resonates with you or you just want to talk, I'll be in the back after Cru.